are listening to the Jura Synchro podcast with Tiia and Ria.
Welcome everybody. Hello, my name is Ria.
And my name is Tiia.
And this is the Jura Synchro podcast.
We're super happy to be here again. This time we have a very special guest, Oksanen, the head coach of Marigold IceUnity and Musketeers. Welcome, Anu.
Welcome.
Thank you. I know you two pretty well.
Yeah.
We've been working many years together.
Yeah. How are you? All good?
All good here. Yes. Of course, the corona is affecting all of us, but everything is good at the moment.
All right. So today we are talking about the development of synchronized skating. And first of all, I think we all want to know, how are you coping with the situation? How are you training with your teams at the moment?
Well, the situation has been very strange because with Marigolds, we've been able to be on the ice and pretty much train normal, have normal practices. Of course, the off-ice facilities are not there, but they've been able to be on the ice since we started, mid-July or so. But then with Musketeers and with all other teams in our clubs, we haven't been on the ice since the end of November. So there's a big difference. So while I go and work with Marigolds on the ice, then I go outside to work with Musketeers. So we do a lot of off-ice training in smaller groups, work on the physics, and try to do also some synchro stuff. But it has been a very strange season, I have to say.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes, it has.
Sure. And we have just received the bad news and very sad news that the Worlds are cancelled and also the Finnish Nationals are cancelled. I'm sure it's sad news for you also. Any thoughts about that, and have you already thought about next season, or are you still going with the flow? Or
well, we've been going with the flow so far, but I think cancelling the Worlds, we sort of expected that already, knowing how bad the situation all around the world is at the moment. And I think especially North America, because they haven't been able to skate and they already canceled their nationals long time ago. So we were still hoping that with the Finnish nationals that we could have the competition, but the situation has gotten a little bit worse. Maybe the training situation changed a little bit. So starting next week, we are able to get back on the ice with skaters under 20. There's been a lot of pressure having kids and younger people be able to do sports during the difficult times. But at the same time, because a lot of teams were not able to train, some others in different parts of Finland were able to do their programs and train pretty normal, then it was pretty unequal situation. So I do understand that they decided to cancel the national championships.
And some teams have already announced that they have these online tryouts. Have you thought of that already, or?
We were still hoping to continue this season and get back on the ice and start working on the programs again. But of course, at the same time, a little bit thinking about what the future brings, but we haven't decided what to do with the tryouts. We know that at the moment it is impossible to hold the tryouts. We are only able to maybe get back to training with our own teams, but I've had tryouts online before, or skaters have sent me tapes. I don't know if that is even possible, if there are some skaters who are not able to get back to skating at the moment. But yes, it'll be a very interesting situation for those who want to join our teams, that how we're going to do it. We definitely have to discuss about that in just the future weeks.
Yeah, and I think time will tell only what will happen and how we can, or you can adapt to the situation.
This is the Jura Synchro podcast.
Shall we start discussing about our topic of today?
Yeah. So So, our first question for you would be, how did you get involved with synchronized ice skating? How did it start?
Well, I was a single skater myself, and then in our club in Helsinki, there came an idea about trying these new sports that they were doing in North America. It was precision skating at a time. We got a hold of the USFSA precision skating manual and watching what the sport was all about, these different formations and what kind of wheels you could do. And then from there, we actually did a first, I don't know, that is the precision skating at the time, but a number. And I consider that to be the very first one that was done here in Finland. I know we did have like a group skating competitions, but that was totally different because it was whatever skaters wanted to do. And it was mainly just single skaters doing a group number. But in this very first program, it was more what the basics of the synchro marching in different formations. So I was actually doing the very first program here in Finland. And from then on, I continued. I was still skating singles myself. And I moved to Jyväskylä to study at the university. And there was also a team. So I got involved doing their choreography and later coaching that team just because I thought it was fun. So I started working from the very bottom, learning about what the sport was all about, and then creating it, whatever I thought, what was fun to do on the ice. But yes, still following what the top teams in the world were doing at the moment. And then when I moved back to Helsinki, and we already had...
What was the top teams?
Are you talking about in Finland or in the world?
In the world, all over the world.
Well, Team Surprise was there. Then we had Haydenets. And then I know a Canadian team, Whitby, Icefire. And we do have the same coaches that we still have coaching synchro. So Kathy Dalton was there. Andrea from Sweden. So they've been coaching a long time and doing this sport as well as I have. But it was just so awesome to get to see the top teams compete here in Finland. And we were just so amazed of how good they were. And from then on, when I moved to Helsinki and started working here, the synchro really started to develop in Helsinki area. And it didn't take too long when we had the first Finnish team winning an international competition. And I have to say that team was Rockets, but I was part of the coaching team at the moment. And then after coaching there a couple of years, I got the offer to change to a different club here in Helsinki. And I took that offer. It was first to be there to coach for a year. But I'm still there, which is in 93.
I'm still here.
Working in Helsingin Luistelijat at Helsinki Skaters. And that's when I first started coaching Marigold. And at the time, they were really the last team in their category. There was no doubt about that. We didn't even have to compete. You could tell them that they would come last no matter what. And just a couple years later, we started climbing up in the Finland rankings and eventually won the first national championships. So I've been really learning this sport from the very basics, just learning from others, but then also sort of choosing my own path, trying to be creative and trying to come up with something new. But it's just purely been because of the love for this sport and because it was fun to do. And now, 20 plus some years later, I do it. It's my work. That's my job, what I do. But at first, it was just because I wanted to do. It was fun. I did not get paid doing it. I did it when I was just competing still in singles.
So I would say that you are a big thing of the synchronized ice skating becoming a very, very good sport.
Yeah, you have been affecting to the sport for sure.
Yeah. So the first official Worlds were in 2000. How did synchronized ice skating get there? How did we get the Worlds to synchronized ice skating? How did the procedure go?
I think we had like the first World Challenge Cups before we became official and had the first official World Championships. I think it was a pretty long path to get there, but we were very happy to finally get the official titles of being able to compete at the World Championships.
As the sport had its own World Cup, how did it affect the development after that?
I think the sport became even more international because, of course, the countries were more interested in being able to compete at the World Championships level. And I'm sure just having higher level competition pushed each country, each team to get better and better. And I think also the rules kept changing and requiring more and more from the teams. So I think this sport just has really, it seems like every year at that time especially, it just kept growing and developing so fast.
Yeah, for sure. And I remember our first competitions when we were juveniles, we had the scoring system from 0 to 6.0. Do you remember that? How was that?
That's what I was used to when I was doing singles myself. So that's almost more familiar to me than what the current system is now all about. And of course, trying to get the 6.0s throughout, from each judge was the main goal, or even to be able to get 6.0, that was kind of like almost impossible. Luckily, we were able to do that, I think, with the Dracula free program. That was first ever. At least, with my team, we were able to get that. But then changing into the new system, it still takes time. And I'm sure also with the audience, because it's a bit more complicated. And audience can't so easily understand, because it used to be 1 mark for technical, 1 mark for artistic, and you could see at the same time all the judges' marks. So that was easy and quick for the audience. And now you get a little bit higher marks, and you have to understand a little bit more about the system.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I remember it was super exciting as a juvenile to stand there with the whole team and then see they're pointing the scores for you.
Yes, I can remember my first juvenile competition and I was like, what is this? I didn't even know about the scoring, and I was like, wow, they're real people showing us numbers, that how good we were. Yeah.
So it has definitely changed a lot.
A lot.
And also the technical, whatever, all the technique in the world has changed so much that they used to really literally show the marks each judge. And now we have the scoring boards and all the computers, and everything is done by machines these days.
Yeah.
Of course, they still need to be the judge, and the judge needs to push some buttons. But really, it was just showing the the marks the old-fashioned way. It was really hard at first to understand, and I think more even for the audience and also for the skaters to understand, because, like I said, it was very simple before, and then it started to be a lot more complicated. So you couldn't even compare after it changed. That you couldn't compare to anything that was done before. So we were creating something totally new, and even then, at first, we were getting really, really low marks. I remember doing an international competition with Marigold, and I think we got less than 10 points in technical because there was a very strict judges at the moment, especially in the technical panel. So we got really low marks from the technical panel. But that was, I think, the year that we ended up winning the World Championship. So, but starting the season and getting really, really low marks was like, what? What is this? That we're supposed to be a pretty good team, and how do we get these marks, which were much lower than when we got the final results, some of the teams that were last or next to last. So that was that we got the same technical marks as them. So that was, it really took time to get used to and understand that what it is that you really need to do and how you get the points.
Yeah, so you had to really take your research for the season. If in the start you had only 10 technical and you won the worlds so you really had to do some learning through the season.
Oh yeah, but it's the same still. We still need to keep learning what they want to see and how they look at the elements. We all know that. So that hasn't changed since the first year that we started with the new system.
Well, what do you think about it? Do you like it that you get every year some different rules and some different elements? Is it good or bad?
Tough one. Sometimes when I feel that we are going into the direction that is not right, then I'm happy if they quickly make the changes and we sort of get back to the right path. But developing the skaters, it has been very challenging because when it keeps changing, so you don't know when you start coaching the little kids that what are the skills they need to learn. All of a sudden you need to do maybe spins and then they allow jumps, and that wasn't what was like a year before or in the past. So it has been challenging to understand that what it is that or how we need to develop the younger skaters. But I think that we've been adapting to each season with the new rules pretty well. But I do admit it requires to me to keep the rule book with me every single day, so you can go back and look at this stuff. That okay, what is it that we have to do this year? And also, it's just little details. Maybe last year it was something that was required, this year not, or just the opposite. And so you have to be very careful that you remember every little detail that they might change.
Yeah. And about what you said about the little kids getting more and more talented, and you don't know what to teach to them because the rules might change. Because it was when we were younger, we didn't do any step sequences or in juveniles. I probably didn't even know the names of the. No,
I remember that you had to know how to do shoktov, and it was with no good lines.
Yeah.
And I think it was just fun when we were in juveniles. We didn't have like big goals, but I think I coach juveniles right now, so I think we are like going straight to the goals. We're going to skating Marigold. We have to do this. You have to do this jump. You have to do you have to have so much ice skating skills already in juveniles, and you have to have the right mindset in juveniles, because I think...
Yes, it is.
Probably we didn't have.
Yeah.
Times were different then.
Yeah, they were very different.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it was very different. But now you have to teach the flexibility so that you can do all the moves and start doing the spins. And yes, the edge quality is so different than what it was when we started. But that wasn't required. So I cannot, claim what we did then, because that's what the sport was all about. You could do the 8 quick choctaws in a straight line, or just quickly turning, or 2 feet, whatever. But yes, we've gone come a long way since those days. So yes, the technical ability of the synchro skaters is just amazing these days. when we used to compare like ice dancers, for example, the single skaters, they were so much better in individual skating and doing the edges, turns. And now it has changed quite a bit. So there are some ice dancers who are watching synchro skaters because of their abilities and skills to do the steps. And then, of course, then came the lifts, which take a lot of time, and they need the strength of each skater to be able to do them. So yeah, synchro really these days requires a lot from their athletes.
Yeah.
What do you think were the qualities, if you think like 10 years ago versus now? What are the qualities that you need so that you can succeed in a team?
There could be a long list that you could do. But yeah, first of all, of course,
how has it changed?
It's the requirements. Of course, they are there first of all, and then they are much higher than what they were in the past. So first, the flexibility. If you do the spirals, it's not enough that you do a spiral. The leg needs to be high enough, or you need to hold the edges long enough, or do the change of edges, keep the legs up. Then you have the step sequences that you have to do. And if you cannot do, of course, for the highest level, the 2-3 step sequences, you don't get the highest level. So there's a lot of, I think, like in each element, you can tell that there's been a big development and how much more it requires from the skaters.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure.
And do you think, could you say, because you have been involved with synchronized skating for so long, you have seen all the years going by, and what are the biggest developments made so far in the sport?
Since I started I should say teaching. It wasn't really coaching, but being part of the sport. I don't think there was a limit of how many skaters you could have on the ice. So there were teams of 32 skaters. So of course the skating looked different, and the skills of the skaters were so different then, that coming down from the 32 to 24, which I loved. I love 24. Because you can, divide that into so many different subgroups.
Yes, we know.
Then it was 20, and now it's 16. So of course the speed has developed a lot, but also what has changed a lot is because we only have 16 skaters, and if you want to do the formations, a lot of times you are done them in no hold because of the speed that is required, or you cannot do them in the hold anymore. So I think just the individual skating abilities and skating alone in the program is much, much more than what we've done in the past. That I think that is really the biggest change, and not just that the skaters are much, much more talented and their technical ability is so much better. But I think that itself, it's in each formation. I don't see the top teams doing circles with holes necessarily anymore, unless it's maybe part of a creative element. But it's just because it's almost impossible also to fulfill the right requirements on how to travel maybe the circle. So yes, but on the other hand, we are maybe losing a lot of the nice formations because we don't have enough of the skaters, or we're not doing so many stuff in the hold anymore.
Yeah, that's true. I think when we started to be in seniors, the synchronized ice skating really started to keep out of the hold and starting to skate alone. I remember that it was a big thing that we didn't have the hold anymore so much.
Yeah, for sure.
Maybe, how many years is it? 9
years ago.
9 years. Oh my god.
Is it 9 years ago?
9 years ago.
When we started in Marigold IceUnity.
That's not a long time ago, girls.
It feels like a long time ago.
But I do remember some of the skaters who were doing synchro at the, so to speak, early days, whatever, that they didn't like to do anything alone. If I was teaching them technical skills like single skaters do, they almost got mad because no, we're doing precision skating. We want to skate in a hold and we want to do these lines. And of course, now that was the main thing to develop them as a skater is first to do a lot of things alone and then putting them together and try to do that same stuff in different formations together. But yes, that was really that there was not much individual skating at all, even during the practices, because they really like to do skate in a line in a hold. That's what synchro was at that time.
Yeah. But I think I'm the same. I really liked to be on the hold.
Yeah.
That was my thing also, I think.
Yeah. I think I like to also skate alone, but when you're on a hold, you really get to connect with the team. And I think synchro is all about the connecting with your teammates. So that's why every synchro loves to hold friends.
Yeah. And I like it too. And I think that's what synchro really is all about. It is about skating together. It's about doing the formations. And I know there's been a lot of pressure and talk about even having 12 skaters on a team that's 60 is still too much. But when you think about what 12 skaters can do, then I think it's going to be totally different sport. So I still try to do things in my team's programs. There are the holds, there are the formations, because I think that's what the synchro is all about.
I feel the same. 16 skaters is the least amount that you can have in a synchronized ice skating program, because as Jaskis Anu said, 12 skaters cannot do any big
elements. As a coach, how do you keep up with the development?
You go with the flow. In a way.
That's a good answer.
No, because it really, you have to each year follow what the rules are, what they want from our sport. It always hasn't been what I want to do. And I think at one point we really did take a little bit wrong turn because there were so many technical requirements that needed to be done, and each element had so many things in it, and there was a lot of repetition. You remember the twisting, turning, changing directions, and everything. It looked like every element was the same. And also the audience was saying, even the really synchro fans were saying that it's so boring because all the programs look the same, because all the elements look the same, because there was just the requirements. You wanted to do the highest level. There was a big list, what had to be in each element, and there wasn't really any extra time to be creative. So I think there was a time when the programs were a little bit more boring, and I'm happy that we're getting back into the direction when we have more freedom, more creativity, and also that there are these creative elements that are required. So, well, you guys know, the creative part is always, it's closest to my heart, but I know it's also what the audience really wants to see from synchro.
And I feel the same about the thing that it's going to a better place now, because the creative things and the highlighting is now allowed more. And I really think that all the programs have been very more interesting the past years. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, do you still remember the time when highlighting was not allowed? It was totally forbidden. That even if you did have one skater do something, you might get a deduction because there was a highlighting in the program.
Yeah.
So yes, we've come far, but then but I still think also that we should have a team skating, not having a team and some individual skaters or couple ice dancers or pair skaters that are within the group or the team. So I still think that even when we have the highlighting, it should still be more synchro like that. It's almost something that a lot of skaters could do, and not just that, okay, if they have this one single skater who can do the triple jump and then she's doing those jumps in throughout the program, then that's what myself, I really don't want to see. I still want to pursue the synchro, the team sport also in the future, even though highlighting in some amount, of course, brings more freedom and you can be more creative with doing the programs.
Yeah, and somehow I think the highlighting is not always like someone doing the jumps or the spins, but in the element highlighting some person doing a different choreography. I think that is very good and I like it.
The Jura Synchro Podcast with Tiia and Ria.
You said earlier that you're into the creativity. And you're well known in the synchronized skating community to bringing new things to the sport. Do you feel that you're by yourself developing the sport somehow?
Oh, no, definitely not. There's been a lot of good coaches and choreographers who've been part of developing this sport. I know I've done my share. And I know I've been pushing the boundaries and trying to read the rule book carefully, and what was not there, we were able to do. So I know there's been some rules that were created after what I maybe did with my team, because that's not what they wanted this sport. The direction they didn't want this sport to go to. But yes, to find the little things that you can still do but keep within the limits of obeying the rules. So yes, I've done my share with the creativity part, and I hope that I've been able to create synchro programs that people can still remember and enjoy, and I keep doing that still. But yes, there's been a lot of coaches who've had their input in our sport, so I'm really grateful for my colleagues about that. It's really is a team effort in that way too.
Yeah, definitely. It's also a teamwork to develop this sport.
Yeah.
It comes from the coaches, judges, but also I think from the skaters. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. As a coach, I do work with my skaters also, and sometimes I give them an idea. They try it. Sometimes they said it's impossible. I said, no, it's not. Keep trying. Or then they change it a little bit, or I'll come up with another idea from, if I say that, okay, that is impossible to do. Okay, let's try something else. So it just, playing with the skaters also to see what they can or can't do, and then developing something else from there. So also working together with the skaters, coming up with something new.
So you're developing and creating all the time. Does it ever feel like you don't have inspiration, or is it hard to get your inspiration? Where do you get your inspiration?
That's a really good question, and I hope I knew, because sometimes the ideas just come because of something I see skaters do. Sometimes it's the program, the theme, the music. You never know what brings the new idea into my head. And of course, because I've been doing this for many, many years, I've created a lot of new elements, ways of doing things, choreographies. That it doesn't really get any easier, that's for sure. But hoping that there's still few tricks in my sleeve that I'll come up with. But of course, because sport has developed and a lot of new ideas has been already done, it does get harder and harder to come up with something new.
So what is the next goal for the sport? Olympics, maybe?
That is definitely all our dream, to make it there to the Olympics. And I don't know if we've been close, so to speak, because for twice now we've been at least being considered. But what is the price that we might have to pay to get there? I think that's a big discussion within our sport. And I know there are those who want us to the Olympics no matter what. So if we have to have 10 skaters, then that is fine. I know they try to keep the 12, the limit. But myself, I don't know if I would be willing to do that, because I feel that then it's not synchronized skating anymore. I think then it's going to go and turn into this team skating events, and then probably we'll be having those single skaters, ice dancers, pair skaters joining the team, and then it's not synchronized skating team anymore. I'm glad I'm not making the decisions. I do have my personal opinion, and I know a lot of coaches think different. And some are saying that as long as we first make it there, then we can maybe change it and then get back to the 16 or so. But I have my doubts. Once you get to the Olympics, if you make it there with the 12 skaters or 10 skaters, I don't think they're going to change it back into the having 16 skaters. I think it's a very high price to pay for our dreams to come true. And I'm not quite sure if I'll be willing to pay the price.
Yeah, we shall see what happens in the future for sure.
Yeah, but hopefully not 12 skaters.
Yeah.
That's my opinion also.
Yeah.
Tiia Ria, the podcast.
We still have a small, quick this or that questions for you.
So answer quickly the first one, that is the better one. No hesitations. 5 quick questions. All right.
Okay.
Are you ready?
So Bielman or Ina Bauer?
Bielman.
Spins or jumps?
Spins.
16 or 24 skaters?
24.
Musical or movie?
Oh, that's a tough one. But I'll say maybe musical.
Of course.
We knew that.
Oh, really? How did you know that?
Pivoting block or open block?
Open block.
Perfect.
Great.
Thank you so much for being here. It was so nice to hear your thoughts and about the development of synchronized skating.
Yes, it's an honor to have you here with us today. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and thank you too, and thank you Jura Synchro for doing an amazing job for our sport. So thank you guys very, very much. And Synchro World, keep working hard, stay positive, and the day will come when we'll be back at the competition. So I hope to see all my skating friends very, very soon. But keep up the good work you guys are doing, and thank you, you too. Great job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for listening our Jura Synchro podcast.
Thank you.
If you're here with us in YouTube, remember to subscribe. And if you're listening us on Spotify or any other platform, remember to follow us. And if you're not with us in Instagram yet, go do that.
Yes, and the new podcast will be released in 2 weeks. So stay tuned. See you then. Bye.
Bye.
Jura Synchro Podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. The musical theme of the show was created by Scatmix.pro and Carl Hugo.